Hello my fellow CAD lovers, and welcome to part 9 of this tutorial on creating a spiral casing using Autodesk Inventor. In the previous part we created this first stiffener, and in this part we are going to reuse all the work we did for this very first part to create the remaining ones. We are going to basically copy this component, rename it as needed, and then make the necessary adjustments so that they will fit properly on the location. To do so, we are going to move to this Assemble tab and use the Place component. And in our working directory, we are going to look for the first stiffener so that we can add a new instance into the assembly. So we place it like so. Now we have two instances of the same component inside the assembly. You can see here this is the first stiffener, first instance, first stiffener, second instance. So we have to make sure that this instance becomes a different component before we make any modification to that. If not, we will also change this one. And the way to do so will be to move to this productivity panel, and underneath this create substitutes we will move and select this save and replace component. Then we will select this instance and we will rename it S2 for the second stiffener. Now we want it to be positioned properly, and we are going to use a technique we used in a previous part. So we will again access this menu and we will move to this crown and root component, and we will select this, and as you can see the second stiffener is now superposed with the first one and they share the same exact space for the moment. Okay, now we are going to grab this and drag it to the bottom of the tree so that it is underneath the first stiffener, and now we right click and edit. Okay, the first thing we are going to change is the angular position. So for this plane we double click, and this parameter should be angular position 2. So we can go to the list and select angular position 2, and now we have this warning. And if we expand to see what is the cause, so we have several problems for the sketch 1 and the replace face, the sketch 4 and the extrusion 3. So we are just going to cancel and we are going to fix them as we go. So we are going to grab this end of part marker and move it first to this location, and again we will make sure that we select the correct parameter for the angular location. Then okay, now you can see the plane is properly located. Now we are going to make sure that all these surfaces are properly copied in the part, and as you can see this is the only one which is not at the correct location. So now we right click and redefine. We make sure that the selection is set to face. We select this face, then okay. Now we will move to the extrusion, and as you can see we have the warning again. We will just accept it, and the feature will be created anyway, but as you can see the size is not what we expected. Okay, so first, before we enter the sketch to make the edit we want, we are going to change the main radius parameter and the main angle parameter. And to do that we are going to have to access this manage tab and then select parameters, or maybe since we are going to do this for all the remaining stiffeners, we should add this to the marking menu. So right click onto any tools, then customize user command, marking menu, and we want to have parameters, and we will choose to replace this fillet. So we make sure that fillet is selected, then parameters, then okay. So now parameters is easily accessible. We will change this main angle 1 and replace it with main angle 2, then enter, and we will do the same for this main arc radius this parameter main arc radius 2, then enter. The distance to axis will stay the same, so done. And now we can enter the sketch and edit it. And what we want is basically to fit this inner green arc to the yellow intersection curve. As you can see, moving it directly is not that easy, but we can get to what we want by moving the outer arc instead. Then we will add a coincident constraint. We look for the midpoint of the arc, and then we select this curve, and there we go. So now we finish the sketch and move a step down onto the feature tree. So everything is looking good. Next up, this replace face, and it seems good. Let's have a look inside to make sure the proper faces are replaced by the copied surface. It looks alright. Okay to finish. Now let's go for the final extrusion, and as you can see, we have a failure. We accept it, and we are going to have a look into the sketch to see what is going wrong. Right away, you can see that we have a set of pink dots in the sketch. This is not good. They usually indicate that a link to an old reference geometry is broken and related constraints cannot be solved. We have no other choice than to delete them. We are going to start with this one, so we select it, right click and select delete constraints. Oops, let's try again. We hover on the point and wait until the other selection menu pops up and indicates that a point is selected. Still not possible, unfortunately. Let's try with the others. Okay, so we have a couple of these like so. I am not sure how to delete them, so maybe just right click, delete constraints, and delete constraints. This is always strange to me. Okay, so this we will delete it, delete, then this one, delete constraints, and now we are free to move again. Make sure that this line is a vertical line, this one also, and then we will add a coincident constraint from this endpoint to that one. Okay, I don't know why I have this, if I can delete it. Okay, so now we finish the sketch and everything is looking good, so we can now return to the assembly and make sure that we check for interference. So again, analyze interference. Maybe we should also add this to the marking menu. And okay, so no interference, so we are clear to go for the next part. And before doing so, I am going to modify the marking menu so that I will add what we need. So we will need to analyze interference. So analyze interference, so we want it to be at, let's say, place component. We need place component. The measure tool, not so much, maybe later, but we will add it. So here, constraint, we will keep it. Pattern component, maybe later, so we will replace these two. Now we want the crown and root. Okay, this crown and root component, we want it at this location, and we need the save and replace component. Okay, for this one we will use the save and replace component. Okay, now we can go for the third one. So marking menu, place component. This time we will use the second one because we want to use something which is close to the location of the current part. So now again, marking menu, save and replace component. So this one will be the third. Then marking menu again, crown and root component, this one, and then we locate it on the top. Maybe I should leave them here for the moment so it will be easy to access. So edit, and we are going to move this up to this position. Then we make sure that we have the correct parameter. So we will have angular position number 3, then OK. We make sure this surface is referenced to the outer face of this component. This one, OK. Then we move to this and accept. As you can see, the feature is created. Now we will move the parameters. So for the third one, we need to change this distance to axis value, which is now 615, and we need to change the main radius and the main angle. So the main angle will be 40 degrees and the radius will be 420 millimeters. So let's get to it. First thing, main angle should be the third one. Main angle, okay. Enter. The main radius, also the third one, and the distance from to axis, the second one. And I think we have everything, so done. Okay, now we are going to edit this sketch, and as you can see, it is not looking good. First clue here, we can see that these two endpoints are no longer connected. We can try to recreate the coincident constraints, and as you can see, we have this error message. Second clue, the color of this line. The dark green indicates that something is not up to date. I am going to remove the constraints on both the arc and the line, and you will see what I mean. This one also delete coincident constraint, and as you can see, the lines from the profile of the stiffener are not longer attached to the correct reference geometry. We are going to have to bring them back to the correct location, so we have to remove this collinear constraint first, and we will also do the same for this one, and next for this one. Then we will grab this, move it to that position. We will do the same for this one. So oops, wrong one. Let's try again. Okay, now we able to do it. So grab this, move to the correct location like so, and then we will recreate the collinear constraint. So this to that one, this to this, and this to this. And for the endpoint, we want to make sure that this endpoint is connected to the one of this line, and that this one is connected to this. Okay, so now for this, what do we have? So here, okay, we want to make sure that this is collinear to that, fully defined already. Now next, we will make sure that this is touching the arc, and as you can see, the profile is fully defined now, and we have a significant gap here, but it's not a big deal. What we are using this arc for is to position this one and not to define the profile at this location. So we'll just finish this and move down to this extrusion, and as you can see, we have nothing displayed on the screen. This is because we maybe have some problem with our sketch, so we are going to have a look inside the sketch to see what is wrong. And as you can see here, the endpoint of this line is no longer connected to the curve, so we are just going to trim the unnecessary portion. the parameters are still the correct ones, and this looks good. You're just going to finish the sketch and edit this extrusion tool to see what is going wrong. And now we can see that the entire face is selected and the part is entirely cut. So this is why we had nothing on the screen. So we are going to make sure that we deselect this whole area, and the way to do that is to make sure that we have this profile selection active. Then we will press the control button down, then click on the face, and as you can see, the area is no longer selected. We will make sure that only the region for the weld gaps are selected. We should have 4 of them. Okay, they are all selected, then okay. And now we move to the next step, the replace face, and as you can see, there is a failure, so we just accept and we will redefine it. So the new face is this one. As you can see, it is properly selected, but the existing face are not selected. So we are going to reselect those faces. First, we move back and activate the existing face selection step. Then we will select this face. Okay, now we have the face selected. We can click on OK, and now the feature is properly created. And next, the final extrusion, we will accept again and have a look onto the inside the sketch to make sure that the profile is correct. So looks good. So finish the sketch. Maybe the problem is with the extrusion, so we'll just edit the extrusion and we will reselect the profile. So with this option selected, we will deselect this and then we will reselect it. And as you can see, there is an area here which is not selected, and this is not what I was expecting. So I will click on OK and go back to the sketch. And maybe there is something we should have pay attention to. Everything seems okay and it is not clear what is going wrong. We are going to look normal to the sketch plane and take a close look, and everything seems okay. Endpoints are connected. The inner edge is selected. I am not sure to be able to find where the problem is, so I am just going to delete the projected edges and recreate them. So this one, this, and that one. And we make sure that we project the correct geometry onto the sketch. So this, and that. And do we have the correct connect here? Maybe yes, maybe no. We will see. So finish the sketch, and now as you can see, the extrusion is now properly computed. We can go back to the assembly and we will check the interference between this third stiffener and this component. Okay, so maybe I will unselect this and then select this for the second set. No interference. So far so good. Okay, let's go for the fourth one. So right click, place component. We are going to use the third one, then open, place it, then right click, save and replace component. This will be the number 4. Save, right click again, crown and root. You have this, right click, edit, and move this up to this position. make sure we have the correct value for the angular position, and next we redefine this one to be this. Okay, now we move to that and we accept it. We make sure we have the correct parameters, so the main angle should be the fourth one now. Main angle number 4, then main arc radius number 4, and the distance to axis will stay the 2, so this one. Then the main radius, main arc radius 4, main angle. What else? Nothing. I think we are done, so done. And we make sure we reconnect this corner. So we first remove the constraint, so delete coincident constraint, not yet, delete this one, delete coincident constraint again, and this, delete coincident constraint once again. Can we move it already? Yes. So now we make sure we can move this, and we reconnect this to that, and this to that one, and make sure this is touching this, and we are done. Finish the sketch and move to the next step. Accept it, and we are going to have a look onto the sketch to make sure that everything is still in place. As you can see, we have a problem with this one, so we are going to trim the excess portion first, like so. This one is okay, this okay, okay, finish, and then we edit the extrusion. Make sure the correct profiles are selected, and maybe I'm not so sure of this value. 3mm seems to be okay. We will keep 3mm, doesn't matter anyway, so okay. And maybe for this one it will not work. Okay, we will keep it anyway. Now the replace face, which fails, so you're just going to edit it and make sure that the existing face is this one. So okay, now properly computed. Then the extrusion, we have to redo the sketch, so we just now delete this, this, and this. I wish I didn't have to do this, but I can't find a better way, so we are stuck with that. So this to this and to this. I don't know why this face is broken in 3, and maybe this is why the extrusion is failing. Now we close and we are good to go for the next component. And as we did before, we check the interference and we are clear. Okay, so we save so that nothing unexpected happened to us, and let's move to number 5. But before we do so, I just remembered that we have an additional operation, a special operation for this component, because as you can see, the midplane of this stiffener should be coincident to the ZY plane, and now it might not be the case. So we have this YZ plane and it's not the case. So we are going to have to make some additional change before we move to the next component. So we select the component and edit, and then for this work plane, what we are going to do is to change the value. this value should not be the thickness, but it will be the thickness divided by 2. So enter, and now you can see the component is now properly positioned. It's looking good. Okay, so maybe let's have a look onto the sketch to see if there is additional problem with that. And as you can see, no, we avoid the gap in the middle of this component by working on this plane. Okay, so I'm just going to have to finish this and go back to the assembly. Then we will check for interference, so between this and this. Okay, and we are good to go for the next one. Since there were nothing worth mentioning for the fifth stiffener, I went ahead and added to the assembly using the exact same steps we did for the previous 4 components. So now we will just move ahead and go for the last one. Again, we start with a right click, then place component. We will use the previous one, so open directly, then we click to place it, escape, then right click, save and replace component. We rename it to number 6, then save, right click, crown and root component, and now we can right click on the component, then edit. And the first thing we will change is the angular position. So before that, we will move this end of part marker up to this, then we will double click on this and we make sure that we are looking for the angular position 6 parameter. Then we make sure we accept it and we check if the location is okay, then it is okay. And as I was trying to explain before, for the work plane we will have a different value for the offset. So instead of using this classical 12 millimeters, we will have this additional 9 millimeters. So we will have 9 plus 12, so 21 millimeters. So let's go back to this and edit this one. So we will add or subtract 9 millimeters to this value and then okay. And next we want to redefine this feature. So redefine, and we select this face and also this one and maybe also this one just to be sure, then okay. And now maybe we should update the part and move to this extrusion, and we will have the classic warning. We will dive in and take a look onto the sketch to see. So now we have this, the projection of the y-axis fell, so we will just remove it and let's see. Okay, so now we will again reproject the x-axis, so like so. And maybe you notice it, these lines moved when I deleted the pink vertical lines, and they are now attached on the wrong side of the reference geometry. So we just remove the constraint and reconnect them. As maybe we should just keep this like so, and let's try to reconnect this to this, and we'll have this. So we have to remove all the constraints, or maybe look for which one is problematic. So here I cannot, so for this let's go something like so, and then make sure that we select not this one but the line underneath, so this one, and then select coincident constraint. And now we can move this one freely. Also we are going to do the same for this one, delete coincident constraint, and now we can move it freely and connect it to this end one, and we cannot create a constraint anyway, so maybe the problem is not at this location. and we have a good candidate, which is this one. So we'll remove this collinear constraint, and maybe also for this one. Let's see, for this one, what do we have? This, so we remove it, and let's see, this one seems to still be constrained, so we will remove coincident constraint, and for this at this end, so delete coincident constraint, and still, so it will be for this one. Okay, this is looking like a guessing game, but I don't know a better way to do that. So first we connect this to that, then we will delete all these points which are no longer useful, and we will connect this to this, and this to this, this to this, and make sure the endpoints are connected here, so that to that, and a last one for this to this. So all good here. And now for this, as you can see here, is more like a line. So what we are going to do is to move this up to here, so we will connect this endpoint to this one, so this to this. And now first we will make the center point of the arc connected to the projection of the x-axis, then this endpoint to this, and we have the sketch fully constrained, but we need to complete this area, so we'll have this like that. And maybe we should just go from this to somewhere like so. So I will just make sure that I remove this horizontal constraint and this perpendicular also, and then we can connect this endpoint to this one, and we make sure that these two lines are collinear if it is possible, and it is. Okay, now we are going to make the required change to the profile so that we have a specific geometry, and also I am going to make the change to this value. So distance to axis should be this time the third one, so this one, and this should be the number 6. This is main arc radius. Okay, so let's see, 490, and it's okay. And then the angle should be, so it is this one, 45 degrees. Let's change it anyway. So list parameter, so this should be the 6. Enter. Now we make the change on this profile, so we need to have a line tangent to this arc, and then we'll have 2 additional ones, and the last one will be connected to this arc at the end. So line tool, so first one we start from the arc, and we will just make sure it is tangent, then horizontal one. We already have this line, so we are just going to connect this endpoint to this one, and we will trim and remove this portion of the arc, and this one also, this one. And now we just have to define the angle between these two lines, so dimension is to this, and the value should be, so it should be main angle number 7, then enter. And now if we take a look on the print, we should have this value, which is 545 millimeters. So again, dimension between this and this, which should be 545, and this should not be fully constrained. Okay, this is because we have a tangent relationship between this line and this one. We shouldn't have that, and we are going to remove it. So we need a final constraint or dimension to fully position this one, and it is given on the print by this dimension, this 800 millimeters dimension, which is from the axis to the intersection of these two lines. So first we are going to create an intersection point. So we just first create the point like so. We're going to make sure that the point is connected to this line and also connected to this one. So now we have the intersection point, and now we will add a distance between the axis and the point, and we want this value to be 800 millimeters, and now we are good to go. Okay, so we change this, that, and the profile is looking good here. And let's say finish the sketch and move to the next step. So this one we will accept and get inside the sketch, and we have this one which is okay, but this one will not be useful because we have now enough gap at this location. So we'll just remove this and this endpoint also. This one looks okay, this one too. So finish the sketch and dive into the feature, edit it. We make sure that we remove this from the profile, and okay. So the next step is to make sure that we have some clean geometry. So move to this replace face, we accept it, and then we will make sure that this is visible, and then we select the replace face feature, then we will edit it. So the existing face will be this and this one, and as you can see here, this surface is not big enough to cut up to this location, so maybe we will have some trouble, but let's try first. So the new face will be this and okay. As you can see, we have a problem. So what we are going to try to do to fix that is to make sure that this is big enough. So let's move the end of path marker up to this location, and then we will extend this surface. And as you can see, we have this warning: the will not extend selected component has no surfaces. And this happens because somehow you cannot extend a surface when working in the context of an assembly. I cannot say if it is just a bug or if it is like this by design. So we are going to have to return to the assembly and open the component in a separate window. And maybe we should save the part first. So let's try this and return and open the part in a separate window. Then we will show this again, visibility, and let's try to extend, and as you can see, it is possible now. So if one way is not working, try another and another. Maybe you will be lucky at some point. Okay, so now we can extend, make it bigger. Let's see again if we can have it more than that. Okay, let's try 180. Not enough, so let's try, let's say 250, then enter. Not working, so edit. Let's go to 200. Working, but not enough. Okay, so we are just going to cancel this and delete the extent first, And what we can do to have a better chance of success is to trim this surface so that we will have a clean edge to begin with. So let's create a plane normal to axis troop 1, and we will select this, and the point will be this one. Okay, from there we will create an offset plane. So we select it and move something like, let's say, 8.5 millimeters. Then we will trim the entire surface. In fact, we should select the cutting tool and not the surface, and we will remove this area, and we can hide the work planes, so this one also. And then let's try to extend again. So select the edge, and as you can see, when starting from something clean, we have better chance to get to a decent result. Okay, so now let's try to replace face feature again. So we move up to this, then accept, then redefine it. So existing face are selected. To the new face we will add this one, and let's say okay. And as you can see, it is still not working as we expected. Okay, so now we are going to try something different, and don't be worried about this because this is the normal process. It does not always work like you expected the first time. So what we are going to do is to keep this extend feature, and what we are going to try is to fill this area. Then we will use this surface to trim it to get to the final result we want. Okay, so first we will delete the replace face feature, and we are going to go back to this extrusion one, and we are going to edit the sketch. So go back to the sketch, and now we will add an additional lines from this endpoint to, let's say, something like this horizontal line, and we are going to make sure that we end at this location. Okay, now we will make sure that these two lines are construction, and remember we did this arc just to get to the center point of this one. So next we are going to make it construction, so it will not be part of our extrusion now. Make it construction, and this one construction, and then we will finish, and let's move to the next to make sure that everything is still okay. So working fine, then again up to the extent, and now we accept it. And as you can see, there is a warning in front of these three features, and this is because we do not longer have the edge we used to define this work plane earlier. So let's go back to the work plane. So this first work plane, then redefine feature, and we select this edge and this endpoint, and as you can see the trim is failing, so we will go to the trim, then redefine it, and we want to make sure that we remove the correct portion. So we remove this, and with control we will deselect this one. Maybe okay, so I am not using the correct cutting tool, so I will cancel this, and let's see. So we have this one, and so this is the work plane we should use for the trim, so make sure that we have it visible. Okay, so visible. Okay, so this is the correct one, but I think the problem is it is not in the correct direction. Okay, so we will have a minus to flip it like so, and now we can edit the trim again. The cutting tool is this one. Okay, and now we want to remove this, and with the control key deselect this area, and okay. Now you can see the extent is properly performed. We can hide this, and now we will create a trim solid operation. So we'll use this split tool, and make sure that we have the trim solid option, and the split tool will be this. We will flip the direction, and okay, and as you can see, we have our cut properly performed, and it is looking nice. So it was a bit tedious, but we still managed to get to the end result. And now we will finish the part by cleaning up the face. So back to the extrusion, and we will redefine this sketch again. We will remove this, all the magenta looking things. So this endpoint, this constraint first, then get this out of the way. At this end we have the constraint again, and let's look normal to the working plane. So I am sure that I will select what I need to select. Okay, maybe we should have the hidden edge display so that you can see. We want to select the edges that are inside the materials, but as you can see, somewhere here there is a change in direction, as if the surface we use for the solid trim was twisted. So these edges are not going to be easy to properly select. Let's go. I'm going to look. Now here we'll maybe okay, so this is getting confusing. Now I want this one, but I am not sure I will be able to trim them. Okay, so let's undo this and the last selection and try again. So this, project that edge, and somewhere here it is flipped. If I use this, okay, I am not very confident about this. And this one, and as you can see here, I have the same problem. Okay, let's keep things simple. So first I will undo, so, and maybe we are going to select, so this side is the side which is in contact. Let's see, let's finish the sketch. So we accept, and we will show this. So we want to remove the material from the edge which is in contact with the sheet metal component. So it will be from this face, so that we have a clearance underneath. So let's go back again, and we should project this face. So project, and we select just the face, and we will turn off the visibility. It's not possible, I don't know why. And I will finish the sketch again and turn off the visibility, come into the sketch again, and let's try to constrain this to this endpoint, and this to this endpoint. maybe this is what we should have done from the beginning. So I'll finish this and redefine the extrusion. And for the profile, I will just deselect this and select this internal area. We want to make sure that the thickness is still the distance, and OK, and there we go. So we are pretty much done for this component, and this was a bit tedious and longer than I expected. So maybe I should have split this into a separate part of the tutorial, but I hope you was able to bear with me. So now let's go back to the assembly and let's check the interference between this and that. Oops, select this first, then second set, this one, and no interference, and we are pretty much ready to go for the next part, where we will be working on the mounting brackets. So it will be these mounting brackets. So we have first one, the second one here, and we will have some ribs, so here and here, and we will finish with these mounting bosses for control equipment like flow gauge or pressure sensors, something like that. So we'll have one boss and another one here. Okay, so I hope to see you then, and again, thanks for watching.